Wins already, and they've come to Salt Lake City to meet the Utah Utes, playing the first of 3 straight at home on a day when the Mountain West shines. 3 teams in the top 20 of the first BCS standings, all 3 today and tonight on Versus. And welcome to our coverage from Salt Lake City with Anthony Herron, Ted Robinson. Glad to have you with us. Air Force with 3 conference wins already, but not the triple option that we always talk about, Anthony. This year it's about their defense.
Troy Calhoun has really put his stamp on that side of the football since he's been at the Air Force Academy. The 10 interceptions they have are impressive enough on their own, but the 11 forced fumbles and fumble recoveries, this Falcon defense is really flying around.
The defense has been the story for Air Force, and today they will get a stern challenge from a Utah offense been extremely balanced and a new general in Terrence Kane.
The junior college transfer, Terrence Kane, he can really do it all from the pocket. He's a dynamic athlete. The throwing numbers are there. The rushing numbers are impressive as well, but really one of his least productive passing games last week against UNLV. This coaching staff said it was probably his best game because the decision-making continues to improve.
And not just those passing numbers for Utah, but they average almost 200 a game on the ground. So while Utah's quarterback situation is settled, Air Force is not. And with more on that, our third member, Lindsay Soto.
Well, you're not going to see that kind of balance out of Air Force's quarterbacks today. I can tell you that. They do not throw the ball very much. Only attempted 5 passes last week, only completed 1. The starter today will be a sophomore quarterback named Connor Dietz. Coaches decided on Thursday to give him the nod over Tim Jefferson. He's the guy who started the season and last week as the #1 guy. They say he is just not 100% recovered from an ankle injury from 5 weeks ago. Didn't see the explosiveness that they wanted to out of him in practice this week. In addition, head coach Troy Calhoun says that Dietz has just been more effective for them. Ted?
So that's the story for Air Force. It'll be sophomore Connor Dietz at quarterback. Air Force will kick to start the game. Air Force won the toss and chose to kick. It's Jeremy Brooks and Elijah Wesson that are deep for Utah. A couple of different kick return men used for Kyle Whittingham. Utah wearing their home all red, Air Force in all white. Eric Soderberg puts the ball in the air. We're underway in Salt Lake City. This will be Brooks. Got a crease right side. And Brooks out close to the 30. For Utah's first possession, 27-yard kick return. So the quarterback for Utah this year taking over for the much-heralded Brian Johnson Jr., Terrence Kane Jr., College Player of the Year last year. And look at the completion percentage.
And it really shows you how efficient he's been so far as a quarterback. Came from really more of a passing offense at his junior college, but he's really made this transition well to the Division I game.
And for the season, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions for the season. Immediately goes empty out of the gun. Air Force brings 4. And Kane over the middle. First throw is complete. That's David Reed, senior, 39th catch. John Felgu, the Air Force tackle. Our freecreditreport.com starting lineup. Experienced offensive line, 4-year starter Zane Beadles, the left tackle.
He's an All-American candidate and a mechanical engineering major.
For Utah, Eddie Wide has taken over for the injured Matt Asiata. Asiata out for the year. Eddie Wide, 3 straight 100-yard games out of the Utah backfield. And Wide gets his first try, goes inside and gets a nice push. Pushing behind the left side, the experienced side of that Utah offensive line. Air Force plays 3 down. Ben Garland is the one defensive player that the coaches all tell you could play anywhere.
He really could, and he's active for his size as well.
Linebackers have been banged up this year. Andre Morris has been out with concussions. He returns today. They've lost Ken LaMendola, an experienced man on the inside. Terrific corners, particularly Anthony Wright and Reggie Rembert.
Ball hawks on the back end for the Falcons.
So first down, and there's a jump by Air Force. It was Rick Ricketts that jumped and made contact.
Number 72, offense, 5-yard penalty.
But drawn by the left guard. And Kyle Whittingham doesn't agree. The Utah coach, as the flag is thrown on Caleb Schlotterhoff, the left guard for the Utes.
Big fella at left guard started wiggling his hips just a bit. I'm not so sure. I don't know.
Well, the officials now have corrected. The CFO West crew has corrected, and they just determined what we saw. There was no movement. So the flag goes against Air Force for 5. Now Eddie White is on the left of Kane. He's got 3 receivers stacked to the right. They're running inside with White. And White this time racked up short gain. Now, Anthony, last year when these teams played, Utah ran the ball right at Air Force. Troy Calhoun said better than anybody has run it in a long time against us at Air Force. Do you expect similar play today?
I really expect Utah to come out and establish that early in the football game, especially because Terrence Kane is such an athlete getting to the edge of the formation. It makes those linebackers have to slow up a bit when they react.
It's a 2nd down 2 coming up for Utah, just shy of midfield. Air Force showing blitz up the middle. They do bring some inside backers. Utah protects, and a nice hit, but good hands. David Reed held that ball as Reggie Rembert plastered him, and it's a Utah first. All right, here's our Craftsman tools for success today, Anthony.
When Air Force is on offense, they're going to have to play the action. Use that passing game that hasn't worked well so far. Hurry up and wait for the Ute defense. Really want to make sure that they're not too aggressive against that option attack. And tick-tock, tick-tock. Playing the clock for both offenses.
And that's what Utah's doing here, although that screen pass dropped by Eddie White. That was looked to be set up for a good gain. They had run the right side of the field there with serious protection.
And when you bring that kind of heat on defense, we saw multiple blitzers there for Air Force. It forces Kane to have to make a quick decision. Right there, the screen was set up nicely, just not able to stay with those mechanics and complete the pass.
So Utah continues no huddle, but already stringing together a couple of first downs on their first possession. Kane barking a change at the line. And he's going to run it. And Terrence Kane takes it inside the Air Force 45, but then Eddie White picks up the ball and will take it the rest of the way. Well, Utah hits for the first explosive play.
And the patience shown there by Terrence Kane as he got to the edge of the defense and then at the last moment darted up in there past the defensive end. Actually, it was tough to tell there whether it was an extremely late pitch or if he may have even gotten stripped of the football and Eddie White was Johnny on the spot.
Well, Air Force turnover story. They have just bit them a little bit. As the extra point to be kicked by Joe Phillips. He's replaced the decorated kicker here, Luis Sakota. And Utah is up 7-0. They breached ball security this week. Let's see on this play.
Did a decent job sealing the edge right there. And yeah, that Falcon defense, the way they strip at the football, excellent job right there. But Eddie White trailing the play. Did a nice job getting back there, just right in perfect position to recover it. And it's tough to react to that one as a defense.
That's what Air Force's whole story is about, stripping the ball, creating turnovers. And the funny thing, Anthony, is that Troy Calhoun on the Air Force side preaches to his players on defense. We strip the ball, but we don't fall on it. We scoop and score. That's their mantra at Air Force. But there was Eddie White.
Yeah.
It scooped and scored.
Right there, 5 touchdowns on defense so far for Air Force. And really, that's been the story for Utah throughout the season. They fumbled the ball quite a bit. Haven't given that many up because they've done a nice job recovering some of the fumbles. So Coach Witt, you could tell he wasn't really happy after the result of that play. But
no, he's not.
Certainly better off with a touchdown than you would if they had gotten the ball.
They dropped the ball all over the place last Saturday against UNLV. So much so that Monday at practice this week, Kyle Whittingham had him running and doing push-ups after practice to try to emphasize the ball security. Well, that's one of those touchdowns. As a player, I'm sure your coach is half happy and half upset.
Yeah, because there's things you could have executed better, but especially opening drive of the game, you like the fact that you got a touchdown on the board.
Reggie Rembert and Jared Two are now back to return this kick. It was absolutely still on the field during warm-ups. There's just been a little bit of a breeze. It's kicked up. Overcast. And you can see that regardless of where these two teams have been in their seasons, when they play each other, the tradition has been close games.
It's been such a competitive matchup over the years. Air Force actually leading the all-time series.
And last year's game decided it as well in Utah's favor in the final minute. Reggie Rembert's going to bring this out from the end zone. And Rembert does not make the 20. So Air Force now coming out with Connor Dietz to make the start, sophomore, Columbus, Ohio. And not going to have very gaudy passing stats. In fact, he's only completed 11 passes this year. But last week, Air Force at home against Wyoming, scoreless game into the third quarter when Troy Calhoun finally put Dietz in, and that move single-handedly seemed to spark Air Force.
And they really like the potential he has for a guy that hasn't played much.
A pitch to Asher Clark. Clark's their top running back this year, one-time quarterback, which is something you'll say about a lot of Air Force players. And a swarm by the Utah defense led by their stud safety, Robert Johnson. 5 seniors across the offensive line on the freecreditreport.com starting lineup.
And they're not big guys by any stretch of the imagination, but they're certainly efficient.
They average 257. Asher Clark and Jared Two, the only Utah native on the Air Force team. And the defensive line now for Utah. Dave Kruger getting a start.
Really a big fan of Cole Misi. So versatile off the edge.
Yep, redshirt freshman Kruger, the younger brother of Paul Kruger, is now in the NFL. Stevenson Sylvester, their top linebacker. And Robert Johnson has already created 7 turnovers this year from the safety spot. On the option pitch to Clark. And Clark is going to be out and marked right at the first down, 28-yard line.
Part of what makes this Air Force attack so difficult to game plan for is because you never know which one guy you can key on. Connor Dietz does a nice job getting some extension in the defense right there, and then the late pitch to his running back, Asher Clark. And Asher Clark's a guy that he's a slasher. When you get the football in his hands, he's got a chance to hit a home run.
28-yard line. Now the keep by Connor Dietz. And that ball stripped free, but looked like fallen on, and is fallen on by Air Force's center, Michael Hampton. Stevenson Sylvester, Utah linebacker, ripping that one from Dietz.
Really gives him an opportunity to get led up in the hole there. Makes a nice cut off of where the fullback goes, but taking a page out of that Air Force book from the Utah defense, stripping it away.
Everybody there looking to the sideline. And Dietz got a new play from the Air Force side. Second and short. And handoff straight ahead. The fullback, Two. Is from Park City, Jared Two, about 25 miles east of here. The only Utah native on the Air Force team.
70 family members reportedly at the game today.
He's got a lot of people that claim to be family, right? But he's become a big runner for him. 422 yards this year for Air Force. They share the running load between 3 men. Two right now leads them. And on the late pitch to Clark, he's run out far side by Robert Johnson and fellow D-back Brandon Burton.
And Air Force went into that I extended, where it gives you a chance to still have that play action fake inside. Then once you get to the edge, there's still multiple lead blockers available once you get to the edge of the defense, especially with a guy as dangerous as what Clark is once he gets out there. It's a nice advantage to have once you get to the edge.
It's a little bit of an unusual look today to see the 3-man eye.
Yeah.
A second down and 6 for the Falcons. Dietz, boy, he's going to make something out of what looked to be a busted play there. Dietz gets a first down into Utah territory before Sylvester drops him.
And Clay Hendricks told us they still got a few other wrinkles, even within just the run game. There's so many different formations that you've seen Air Force run throughout the year.
Was that a busted play, Anthony?
I honestly think that was a reverse pivot where he meant to come in just based off of the way the guard and center blocked it. I believe that was exactly how it was supposed to be run.
By design. Well done, then. 12 yards and a first for Air Force. Here, two's wrapped up. New on the Utah defensive front.
He's a guy just listed at 210 pounds as a fullback, but really does a nice job running behind his pads. It's going to be difficult for me to continue to believe he's 210 because we're going to see him breaking some tackles throughout this game. Really physical ball carrier.
Sometimes you look at the Air Force weights and you shake your head, and you have to dismiss it because they play much bigger than their listed weight. Reverse. Oh, and a great cut inside. And all the way down the near sideline, inside the 20-yard line. That is Michael Hunter, a freshman from Conyers, Georgia, on a 25-yard reverse.
And the Utah defensive end, Derek Shelby, he really does his job right here. He forces that play back inside, was not too quick to cross the formation, but his linebackers float too quickly. That allows Hunter to have the running lane.
To the 18 of Utah. Two goes straight and up. That's a great fake. Dietz keeps it and gets it down close to the 10. That previous play, Anthony, something that and Hunter, a new body, getting a chance to play here because they're looking for people on offense to give him some explosive plays.
And that's exactly what they need. You can methodically march your way down the field, and it's great that the ball control Air Force has had throughout the season has helped them out. But every once in a while, you got to have a home run hitter with the ball.
And number 4 in for Air Force going in motion there. Halderman's another guy they think of in that way. They used Halderman as a decoy there, and two got stopped up right in the middle of the Utah line. Junior Tioloni, the first man in.
And Ted, we can see the whole field up here, and it's hard enough for us to be able to tell who's got the football for Air Force. Imagine being a linebacker for Utah trying to figure that out.
Thank you for covering me, partner. That's part of the Jared 2 section. 70 strong. Third down, big third down play here. Asher Clark. Now Utah wraps it up. These two teams are in the top 10 in the country right now on third down defense, both of them. And Utah shows it here.
And the defensive end does an excellent job stringing out. And then the inside linebacker, Mike Wright, that's exactly where you have to be. When your big guys up front force that ball carrier laterally, someone has to be there to clean it up. Mike Wright was right there.
So Air Force, terrific drive, but halted in the red zone. That's been a problem for them. And Eric Soderberg's field goal kick is good. And Air Force does cash in with points. So each team's taking the ball down the field once. Utah with the touchdown, Air Force the field goal as we're underway on Versus.
Here's another night.
And once you get in the red zone, that's the thing with this offense where it's kind of contingent on the defense to not really be able to trust their eyes. But once it gets more condensed in the red zone, there's less opportunity to be able to react as a defender.
And after the Utah fluke touchdown, Joe Phillips missed the extra point, and so that's the scoring in the game right now. 6-3 in favor of Utah. Troy Calhoun, the only graduate of the Air Force Academy to ever serve as the head coach here, and what an amazing turnaround after at the tail end of Great Fisher DeBerry run, things had fallen, and Troy Calhoun has immediately turned this program around. 2 straight bowl games. They have an astounding record. They are plus 40. That's right, plus 40 in turnovers in the 2.5 seasons that he's coached.
Amazing statistic right there. And I mean, even just looking at this season, plus 17, by far leading college football.
And it's a little bit of a testimony, I think, to where the Mountain West stands with so much focus on the 3 teams that are in the top. Here's your 4th team in Air Force that, despite being outsized in virtually every game they play, has been a very, very competitive team this year. Had the lead at Minnesota into the 4th quarter. This will be Devontae Christopher, freshman on the run back. That was a terrific hole that Utah opened up. They've had 2 good gaps on their first 2 kick returns. Michael Hunter made the tackle for Air Force. 35-yard run back by the freshman. Kyle Whittingham has thrown a lot of curveballs early. He used 2 completely different people on the opening kick return. And that goes back to Christopher, who was the guy that ran him back last week.
You certainly don't want to keep giving Terrence Kane the short field to work with the football.
And again, Utah spreading. 3 receivers left, 1 right. No tight end. Eddie wide the back. Quick receiver screen, ball jarred free, pass incomplete. Incomplete pass. Anthony Wright made the jarring hit from which Jeremy Brooks has not gotten up.
You want to see if this Falcon defense is ready to play right here. Check Anthony Wright making the read on the play right there and puts his hat right on the football where you got to have it to make sure it gets jarred loose. Excellent form on the tackle. No helmet to helmet. Not targeting the receiver in any way. It's just a good physical football play.
Gary Patterson, who knows a little bit about defense, the TCU coach, after his team played Air Force, he said about the Air Force defense, he had a great line. He said, they hunt together. And that's a wonderful description of how Air Force, his defense is playing, and Brooks felt the full force of it.
Yeah, and that was a great picture of it. As soon as that ball hit the ground, you saw all the white shirts chasing it, scooping it, and trying to score.
Now an empty backfield, 5 wides for Utah. Nowhere to go. Kane keeps his feet moving and now finds a man. This is Matthews across the 45. Luke Matthews, just his 2nd reception of the year. Rembert on the Air Force tackle.
With an offense this balanced for Utah as a defender, it makes you have to pick your poison a bit, because you think, am I going to bring pressure? Do I try to force Terrence Kane to make a quick decision? Or like we saw Air Force just do right there, they brought 3. There was a late blitz for a 4th rusher, but he had all day in the pocket.
Air Force pretty much staying in a nickel right now. They're going 5 defensive backs against this spread Utah offense. Kane gives it inside. Eddie Wide, and that was a terrific tackle by Andre Morris, or Eddie Wide might have been running again to the house.
Just the way the defensive end just has to delay a bit. And the outside linebackers you saw right there, there's a crease. And he just showed up, Andre Morris, just in the gap late to be able to squeeze down and make the play on Eddie Wide.
Only 195 pounds, but the Utah coaches will tell you he runs a lot bigger than that. And the carry again. Oh, there's a terrific play. Well, it's 2 in this series by Anthony Wright.
That's the thing with both these corners, really all the defensive backs, because they're tough guys. You know, they do a nice job. They've got some interceptions throughout the season, but they will consistently come up and support the run.
Anthony Wright, a senior, Reggie Rembert, a junior, manning the corners in the Air Force secondary. Utah changing some personnel here. Iona Key, a taller receiver at 6'4". That's a matchup you'd think Utah might try to take advantage of. Instead, Kane throws over the middle, just slightly behind David Reed, and he could not make the hands catch.
Both these guys, I mean, the tackles are there and the interceptions. They do a nice job. When the ball's in the air, they go there, they have an opportunity to make a play, and they come up with the catch. Something that a lot of DBs tend to struggle with. The fumble recoveries there for both players as well. Just play off of each other in excellent fashion.
Rembert missed spring ball, and then the first 2 games of this season, he had an academy suspension. He chose to come back, did not leave. He had possibility of leaving the academy. Utah now on their 3rd down play here. Kane is 3 of 6. And he keeps the play again alive with his feet. But then his run down wrapped up. Ball free. Air Force creates another turnover. John Felgu fell on the ball. I believe it was Justin Moore that ripped it from Terrence Kane, and Air Force is now plus 18 this year. Plus 18 take turnover ratio. That's a great strip by Justin Moore. All right, Air Force playing on here after the fumble recovery. Utah 6-3 in the first quarter, but Air Force stripping the ball from Utah's Terrence Kane. And the Falcons with 2 running plays pick up a first down at the Utah 46.
I spoke to Clay Hendricks about it during the week, the offensive coordinator from Air Force. Just the tempo that they bring to the football field. I mean, when you're in the kind of condition the Air Force Academy is, you can establish your own tempo.
Now there's a 3-man eye set behind Connor Dietz. pitch goes to Clark. Asher Clark on the outside gains 3 before Robert Johnson of Utah drops him.
I really think the option play is going to be a tough one to run at Stevenson Sylvester, the outside linebacker from Utah. He's in that rover position. Sometimes you'll see him back in the box, but a lot of times you'll see him up on the line of scrimmage as he was right there. He was able to string the play out and go get in on the tackle.
Jumping around, moving, and finally a false start on Air Force. The other thing, Anthony, when you watch this kind of an offense.
I'll start. Offense, number 59, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
If you're on the Utah side, I would imagine you're saying, okay, they're moving the ball right now on the ground, and at some point they're going to try to pop a big pass on us.
Exactly. And Connor Dietz has to be able to complete that big pass. There have been opportunities throughout the season for Air Force to come up with the big play in the passing game, especially with the way that play action sets up so nicely for them.
Now the conditions changing. A little rain showers blown right across, most unexpectedly, right across the stadium. When Dietz almost had that ball ripped from him. There's Shelby of Utah. Derek Shelby looked like he made a pretty good rip. Silver Salinga eventually made the tackle. Air Force is now 1 of 2 on third. And they're going to have a long third here. This is the kind of third they need to stay out of. Obviously, any team needs to.
Yeah, but especially Air Force, they are not built for 3rd and 14 situations by any stretch.
Right on the 50. Gonna run a wide side pitch out here, and that's shut down. Xavier Stevens, junior running back, brought down against Sylvester. And he made a good call. Anthony Sylvester's been all over so far for Utah.
And this is exactly what I expected. When Air Force gets in this formation, they're not a spread passing team. So when you see Connor Dietz back in the shotgun, occasionally defenses have allowed him to spread them out formation-wise, and Dietz has picked up rushing yards. Looked like Coach Witt and that U defense was ready for it that time.
Brandon Geyer has done a nice job punting for Air Force this year. Averages 42. He's dropped 12 inside the 20. Almost a third of his punts. Luke Matthews deep. Matthews will make the catch at the 11. No, he won't. And that's a second Utah turnover. A muff punt, and Air Force recovers. And down on the recovery, John Davis, defensive back for the Falcons.
You want to talk quintessential Air Force football. Playing the field position game right there. Muffs the punt right there. Johnny Davis. Johnny on the spot to come up with the recovery.
So Air Force, you're just about to say Utah dodged the turnover, but they turn it over a second time. And now Dietz goes to work from the Utah 11. Single back 2. This is Dietz keeping, and this is what Air Force told us with Dietz playing instead of Tim Jefferson. The only change would be more designed quarterback runs.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because Connor Dietz is such a good athlete. Jefferson's, a good athlete. Connor Dietz is a great athlete back there in the pocket. He gives them the versatility to be able to have quarterback runs both outside and in.
This is where Air Force must find a way to punch this in the end zone. Option pitch. Clark's got a chance. So he goes outside. He's going to be dragged out. Looked like he was going to perhaps try to go inside on R.J. Stanford. He went to the sideline, is out to the 2-yard line.
That's really where Asher Clark, he's a different kind of ball carrier. Like I said earlier, he's that slasher. He's not a phone booth guy that's got a lot of jitterbug kind of moves in there. So he makes that one cut, and once the decision's made, he has to stick to his path.
Right now, Air Force can get a first down at the 1. 3rd down call. Keeper by Dietz. Now, he may get a first out of this. He did not get a touchdown, but it looks from here by the mark like he's going to have a first down.
I think you're exactly right, Ted. Playing the averages as an offensive coordinator, that's exactly what you're hoping for in that situation.
So Kyle Whittingham and his team know right away this is exactly what Air Force wanted. Come in and establish that they're going to hit you and that they'll take the ball from you.
Continuing to come with the balanced formation here.
Halderman in motion, 2 straight ahead, and the Utah native scores the Air Force touchdown. And there's a whole section down there that's jumping up and down.
There's at least 70 folks just going wild for Jared 2 right now.
That's right at the end of the field where Utah scored, or where Air Force scored. So the Falcons take the lead. They did need 2 fumbles to get the 1 touchdown. But they'll take it, and Soderberg puts this point through. And so here in the final minute of the first quarter, Air Force has jumped out 10-6 on Utah. Air Force taking advantage, 2 fumbles by Utah. The same sequence, and Air Force turns that into a touchdown. And a reminder that on Versus Live November 18th, a belt on the line in the WEC. Can Mike Brown continue as the #1 featherweight in the world? Or does #1 contender Jose Aldo dethrone Brown and Aldo for the featherweight title? Live November 18 here on Versus. So for Utah, Devontae Christopher and Elijah Wesson are deep. Soderberg will kick the ball for Air Force. This will be Christopher up the right side from the 8. Oh, boy, I'll tell you, there's somebody else that came flying through there for Air Force and nearly stripped the ball. Christopher held it, and Utah will start it just across their 20.
Has the world gone?
Salt Lake City, over 100,000 are going to watch in this 50-mile span between Salt Lake City and Provo today and tonight. It's really a great day for the Mountain West, the national stage squarely on them. Utah coming off its 13-0 season last year as Kane hands inside Eddie Wide. He'll run it up across the 30-yard line. Ricketts on the Air Force tackle, and that likely will end. Well, let's see if Utah tries to hurry up and run another play. Kane walking to the sideline as if that's not going to be the case. The offensive line is there ready.
They're ready.
Snap the ball. There's nobody to snap it to.
Big Utes want to get it going.
So they'll let the quarter clock run out. And Utah knows that Air Force once again, and they shouldn't be surprised, and I know Kyle Whittingham would say I'm not surprised, that Air Force has come to play. 10-6 Falcons after 1. Now Utah's concern has to be holding the ball. They fumbled 3 times in the first quarter. One of them was recovered by their own man. Eddie Wide ran it in for a touchdown. The other 2 recovered by Air Force, and that led to the Falcons' lone touchdown. Kane going to hit from behind. Ball free. Play dead. Andre Morris tracked down Terrence Kane from behind. And Kane is sacked for a loss.
This was another situation where the pass rush games run inside by Air Force. Ran the twist inside right there, and then that allowed Andre Morris to use that speed, chase the speedy Terrence Kane down from behind. He had to leave the pocket because of the push that came in the middle.
So a sack and a loss of 7. It's a 3rd down, a long 10 here for Utah. Kane again goes empty. He's got 2 left, 3 right. Blitz coming, and Kane is crushed. He can't get rid of the ball. And John Davis flying in on that late safety blitz for Air Force.
This Falcon defense, they can bring it from all angles. You're going to see defensive linemen at certain points, but here you see the defensive back on the delayed blitz, which Terrence Kane did not see that coming. Offensive line couldn't get it picked up, and John Davis, just for good measure, making sure. No way you're getting that ball off, T-Kane.
And so Utah pushed backwards on the consecutive sacks by Air Force. Ooh, and that came close, and there's no flag. Actually, looks like they got the ball, a piece of the ball. On the punt by Sean Selwood, way back to field. It was right for Air Force, or excuse me, Reggie Rembert for Air Force. And Rembert gets only a 2-yard return of a 56-yard punt. I believe the official signal was that that ball was tipped. As the crowd pretty upset that there was no flag call. So no flags. It'll be right in Salt Lake City. It is 10-6 Air Force. And the Falcons start from their 31-yard line. Air Force has run 21 plays, and they've all been running plays. And make it 22 here on the late pitch from Connor Dietz to Asher Clark. Short game. Robert Johnson pushing out Asher Clark, sophomore from Louisville. Like many Air Force players, a quarterback that has been moved to a different position by Troy Calhoun.
You'll see a lot of coaches do that. When they want to have some versatility in their lineup, they'll recruit quarterbacks, guys that they can move to different spots.
Second down and 9 for the Falcons, and they go straight ahead. In the game, the second fullback is Nathan Walker. The first fullback, Jared Two, has scored the Air Force touchdown today. How does family feel about it? Here's Lindsey Soto.
A little bit nervous. That's what Jared's dad, Steve, says that he is watching his son play his homecoming game. Over 70 people here. I assume that number started slower. How did it get so big?
Well, we just had it calling us friends, family, neighbors, old high school friends, all wanting to come and see him play. It's a pretty exciting time for Jared.
Yeah, I'm sure you've talked to him this week. Has he been nervous? How does he feel about playing in front of the home crowd?
This has been his biggest game of the year to look forward to, where he wanted to play for Utah all his life, and they wanted to play defense, and he wanted to be an offensive player, and so it was a great opportunity for him to be able to come back and play against his old home team.
And it's gone pretty well so far. Explain what it was like in this section when he scored that touchdown.
They were going crazy. The defense has been playing great, getting a few turnovers just made a huge difference. And always been able to make a few plays this game and get some points.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, it'll be Brandon Geyer to punt for Air Force. Luke Matthews deep for Utah. Their pitch on the third down play broke down the chance for Air Force to get a first down. And now good field position again for Utah. 34-yard punt and a fair catch by Matthews. Mountain West Saturday on Versus. It's 10-6 Air Force.
Flame broiled.
In essence, the same possession, stripping Terrence Kane. And after being stopped and forced to punt, a muff by Matthews, and this is what Air Force wound up putting in the end zone.
And there's been so many ways they've come up with it, and then the defense turns into offense for the Falcons.
Plus 19 now. Air Force in turnover ratio, astounding. Terrence Kane again changing at the line. Eddie Wide on his left. And Wide able to get some yards there. Good push by Eddie Wide, runs that out for a 5-yard first down gain. Miles Morales of Air Force makes the tackle.
They came out and ran a power play that time, and they came right at the point of attack. The tight end and the tackle doubled down on the defensive end, and they got some movement there.
That's what Utah did in the game last year when they had 2 runners. Matt Asiata and Darrell Mack both went over 100 against Air Force. Going in again, and this time Eddie Wide pushing and trying to fight for those extra yards. He's stopped about 2 shy of the first.
As Terrence Kane is giving these handoffs inside, now we're seeing the outside linebackers and the defensive end from Air Force. They're playing that more aggressively now, working their way back down inside. Pretty soon you're going to see Terrence Kane keep one of these balls and work his way out to the edge.
Utah 1 of 3 on thirds. This a 2-yard third down play. Kane goes under center. Ben Hendy, a tight end, and they're blocking, and boy, I'm not sure he got there. Eddie Wide looks like he did not make it. And that's the part that, watch football, Anthony, shake your head, how Air Force giving away the size they do, how they stood there against that push and don't let a guy get 2 yards.
From the big fellas they got, especially in the middle, you got a couple of 300-pounders at left guard and center. You got a guy at 295 in Tavita Simmons. Could not move the interior of the Air Force defense.
And Eddie Wide not getting up. That time Utah ran behind the right side. That's the younger side of their O-line. But it's an O-line that Troy Calhoun told us be as good an O-line as they'll face all year.
It's right there in the middle of it where they needed to get that push. There was a small crease right there, but again, it's the edge of the Air Force defense that's now diving down in there on these inside runs.
And you see Eddie Wide, so it's tough to watch the right leg get pinned. Oh.
Very awkward angle he ended up in right there, but of course good to see him moving that limb around, showing the training staff where he thinks it got hurt at.
Utah already losing Matt Asiata, the second time in the last 3 years that Asiata has gone down early with a season-ending injury, and now his replacement, Eddie Wide, helped off. And right now it's 4th down in the immediate situation, 4th down, a full yard, and Kyle Whittingham looks to be sending the punt team out.
When you're looking at that field position battle, I think this is an opportunity for him to change the field on Air Force. So far up to this point, really Air Force has had that field position edge.
Sean Selwood. Ball goes to him. And the punt away, Rembert will fair catch for Air Force. So Air Force will start from their 12-yard line. Their defense has settled down after letting Utah score on the Utes' first possession. Well, it's all about the BCS standings now. Last week, the first standings, and our lows building toward the BCS shows that where the Mountain West stands with 8 and 16 going head-to-head tonight. 18 there, and I was just wondering, Anthony, we stopped at 5. Who is 6 again?
I believe the Iowa Hawkeyes are at number 6 right now in the BCS standings. Undefeated, 7-0 right now.
Yeah. So you pay for dinner, you'll get Iowa on there next time. First down here. There's a fake, and Dietz keeps it inside. And gets 3. Well, Anthony Herron, a proud Iowa Hawkeye graduate. So here you go. Are you surprised this year?
You know what? I'm not surprised, because the Big Ten, they've been in a situation this year where they've had to continue to try to build momentum with all their different teams. There was not a dominant team coming back into this season of Big Ten play. Iowa's been the one that's been most consistent on both sides of the ball.
Well, it's Utah with its only loss this year coming at Oregon. Loss doesn't look so bad right now. Dietz trying to get out, and Dietz with a good job. And there's the definition of a guy that can use his legs to hurt you. Dietz looked like he was pinned in, but he found a way through and got a first.
Talking to Coach Calhoun, you really get the sense that he feels like Connor Dietz learns something every series he's out there as a quarterback. Dietz is a guy that could have been in the running last year to possibly compete with Jefferson for the quarterback job, but he got hurt early, and that really left Jefferson as the main guy.
It gives to Jared 2, and a good first down fullback dive. 2 gets out for 7 yards. Connor Dietz from Columbus, Ohio, and you see not even attempted a pass yet. He led his high school to the Ohio State Championship. That's one of the things that obviously would catch your attention. And Tim Jefferson, they say personality-wise a little more quiet, a little more reserved. This is the fiery guy that the team responds to.
And a youthful guy at the Air Force Academy, able to take the reins of the offense. Show some leadership.
Option pitch, but that time shut down. Utah, it's all the word you hear all week from the Utah side. It's about assignments.
Exactly.
Steve and Stevenson Sylvester held his assignment there.
And really, it's that 111th defense that Coach Witt talks about with his guys. When you got a team running the triple option, you got to make sure all 11 defenders are maintaining their own gap responsibility. But then a guy like Sylvester, he's able to get his gap, and then he can help out a few other gaps as well. He's that good.
The Utah crowd, the Muss, that's the great student section here trying to roar. 3rd and 4. They run 2. Now the great fake, and Dietz gets a first down. But what a terrific fake to Jared, too.
Got a little and one mixtape move right there. Looked like the professor down there, kind of Dietz. Had us all faked out. But much better decision right there, though, to keep the football, especially when you got a short yardage circumstance. On the previous series, looked to me like if he would have kept the ball as opposed to pitching it, could have had the first down on the previous snap. Be a little bit selfish with yourself sometimes, kind of Dietz. Don't worry about if you get 3 or 4 carries in a row.
One of your keys, Anthony, was the clock. And Air Force right now is doing that. They're keeping their offense on the field.
That's exactly what they're doing right here. It's going to add up as the game goes on. These body blows early.
Dietz holding it. Going to try to throw one. Halderman. So the first pass of the day by the Air Force Academy completed. It's Kyle Halderman, a junior, who's playing just his 2nd game of the year, and he's the guy that Air Force feels adds that explosive element to the pass game.
Exactly, and that's what they need because of the fact that you're only going to attempt a handful of passes in a game if you're Air Force, so it makes every pass attempt that much more critical. Like the decision right there from Connor Dietz, though the play action wasn't there, it was defended well. Don't feel like you got to try the home run shot.
Eddie Wide, that does not look good for Utah. Dietz keeps again. Well, they're using 2, having established him early. They're using 2 as a great decoy here, and this is a concern for Utah as Eddie Wide is being helped off into the locker room.
Eddie Wide's done such an exceptional job this season. Once Matt Asiata left the lineup, he's been the main ball carrier, averaging over 100 yards a game in the last 3 contests. Certainly a big loss for Utah.
And here's Air Force now. This possession started at their 12, and they've moved it now into Utah territory, although 2 is bottled up there. Salinga in the middle of the Utah D-line.
For Utah, it's going to be important to make sure they keep that rotation going up front. If you got to play the run, snap after snap after snap, that adds up, especially when you have to chase it laterally like we're seeing them have to do right now with Air Force.
Other facet that's interesting, Air Force has already converted 3 third downs in the first half. Utah's 4th in the country starting play today and defending on 3rd downs. Oh, Dietz has got a great cut here. And then Utah closes quickly, but Dietz gets it close to a first down. Matt Martinez came in, made the very visible hit.
Yeah, kind of Dietz takes a big hit at the end of this play right here. Right as he cuts up inside, fakes the pitch. I like it right there. And then boom, the big shot comes in from the Utah defense. But now it's setting up a 3rd and short situation. What do you do as a linebacker when you're back there for Utah? Because you got to key in right now because he's going to hit you quick on 3rd and 1.
Here it is. They need a full yard to the fullback. Dietz keeps. Oh, and Dietz does a nice job. He just kind of slithering through any open space there, and it looks like he got a first, and he does, and that is 4 of 7 now. And that's significant for Troy Calhoun. 4 of 7 on 3rd downs. Utah was 26% on 3rd downs coming into the game.
And look at this 185-pounder right there, showing no fear, just diving head first into the teeth of the Utah defense.
That number very strong for Air Force as 2 takes it to the 20 or to the 35, and so Air Force is doing what they really weren't able to do much against Utah in the game last year at the Springs, and that's stay on the field, string first downs together.
It makes such a big difference because they can sustain this drive right here, keeping that Utah offense off the field and tiring the Utah defense while they're out there.
Grinding clock. Already winding down towards 4 minutes to go in the first half. 2 is wrapped up. When we talked to Kyle Whittingham, the Utah coach, yesterday, what was the first word and he's used it a lot, but he told us when we said, what's it like playing Air Force? Nightmare.
Nightmare.
That was the first word. Nightmare. Said they practice, believe it or not, he said they practice a little bit in the spring. and a little bit during fall ball, a little bit during practices against defending this offense. Walk-on safety on the team that ran this offense in high school. He's been their scout team quarterback for 3 years. His 2 is wrapped up, and that third down does not convert. That's big because Air Force here does not appear to be in field goal position. So now, decision for Troy Calhoun.
That's a big stop right there for Utah. Dave Kruger just decides he's going to shoot the gap. He knifes into the A-gap right there. Linebacker feels right off of him, but does an excellent job wrapping up the ball carrier. This is a tough guy to bring down in Jared too, but he's one-on-one in the backfield, and Kruger made the play.
That's big for Dave Kruger. Great name here in Utah football, but this is a little too far for Soderberg, so Brandon Geyer, the punter, is on. He just tries to deaden this one. Air Force is there to cover it inside the 10. So the Falcons move the ball, chew up time, don't get points. They do, however, pin Utah deep in their territory in the final 3 minutes of the half.
Itchy, dry scalp?
Penn State-Michigan showdown, and we have an interview with BYU head coach Bronco Mendenhall as his team readies for the battle tonight against TCU. Back to Salt Lake City.
All right, Al, big row. Christian will be along at the half. Fast first half here in Salt Lake. Utah starting deep from their 7-yard line. Quick slant. Room to run for Reed. So Utah pushes it all the way out to the 35. A 28-yard connection. Kane and David Reed.
That'll change field position pretty quick for you when you get the ball in the hands of David Reed. The guy that can run after the catch.
Sasan Shakarine is now the running back for Utah with Eddie White out. Shakarine gets the handoff and is dropped for a loss. So he's the third back at that position. Redshirt freshman, and he ran right into Air Force's big D lineman, Ben Garland.
Really a big fan of Ben Garland because he can do it all as an inside player defensively. He can rush the quarterback. He can knock it back at the line of scrimmage. But he's got some pass rush mechanics, too.
A long second down. The Air Force people tell you Garland's the one guy that could have played at a whole bunch of other D1 schools. Not as many Air Force players fit that description as Kane. Gets rid. Incomplete. It'll leave Utah 3rd and long. And let's go to Lindsay Soto.
For the Utes on the defensive line last year, now playing for the Baltimore Ravens, back for the first time this season because of the bye week, getting a chance to watch your brother make a big stop on 3rd down.
Yeah, he did good out there. We're looking forward to beating these guys. We need a couple more quarters, good ball, and we'll be good. You
know, I was just talking to you. I asked you how you thought it looked. You said you thought you were in pretty good position. Why is that?
You know, we've had some turnovers and stuff that have hurt us bad, but I think we're looking solid. We've made some big plays, so we'll be all right.
From a defensive standpoint, this is a really tough team to defend. Why is that?
It's just they're very sound and they're mechanical, so that they can wear you out. Over the course of a game, if you lose focus in any way, they'll hurt you. So it's just one of those offenses that's, you know, they're tough, but it's you can stop it if you're sound the whole game. But if you're not, which tends to happen in a lot of teams, they can hurt you.
Paul, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Guys.
All right, here's the punt away by Utah. And a fair catch by Rembert. The crowd was reacting. They wanted an interference flag thrown there. Here it looked like the ball had passed the receiver. And the Air Force defender made contact. But Air Force's defense gave up that one big first down pass. Then they shut Utah down, and the Falcons will have the ball here in the final 2 minutes of the half. Well, this season, collegefootballonversus.com. You can sign up and play the College Football Pick'em Challenge. Compete against your friends or see how you stack up against Big Row. And that is a challenge. Can you outdo Big Row? For everything college football, log on to versus.com. Utah has 3 timeouts. And Dietz, great fake again, gets 5 on first down. All right, Anthony, now this is the play that the crowd was reacting to. How do you see this?
It really felt like there was an opportunity for a pass interference penalty right there.
Well, yeah.
It looks like the linebacker's getting in there just a bit early. But the vet move, though, it's tough for the umpire to see it if he's out of position with that backhand.
The back arm, yeah, that's... As Asher Clark is wrapped up short of the first. On the in real time, the tackle appeared to be after the ball went by, but there in the replay you could see that back arm. A little contact with Shakareen.
And of course, if it's close, the folks in the must, they're going to go for Utah every time.
Well, Utah's not using timeouts here, which is interesting. Air Force facing third down, but they're in no hurry. If Utah's going to let the clock run, the Air Force will be happy. 3rd and 2. Well, there's a good play. A little fly sweep there. John Warzika touching the ball for the first time. Sophomore. And Warzika gets a first down.
It puts pressure on you at every level of your defense when you've got so many different ball carriers who are really a major portion of this offense, of this running game for Air Force. Even a safety like Robert Johnson, he has to become a major cog in this run defense when mainly he can sit back and play center field usually.
And now Air Force, and this is where they don't have the real capability of trying to strike quick to get into field goal range. They'll just keep running it. Asher Clark is back for +1 on that play. And Dave Kruger in for Utah. It's just interesting, Kyle Whittingham obviously has his reasons. It's just interesting he did not try to stop the clock at all to give his defense a shot to stop him.
And then conversely, when you look at the situation that Air Force is in here offensively, you say, well, why not take a shot? I think if Robert Johnson wasn't a free safety, maybe they would.
But that's not, they're not built to do that, right?
Exactly.
And if you're Troy Calhoun, you're happy. You're running off the field. You played right there with Utah as a team that has a tremendous home winning streak, 13 straight here in Salt Lake, 10 straight conference wins since losing to Air Force in the 07 season. But Air Force has the halftime lead as we go down to Lindsay Soto.
Coach Calhoun, a 10-6 lead at the half. Were you happy with your team's play in the first?
You know, the thing that you like is we're able to cause a couple of turnovers. We haven't turned it over, you know, and I think that's going to be the real key in the second half is being able to slow their offense down. And sometimes the best way to do it is being able to make some first downs of your own just so they are not on the field.
Connor Dietz seems to have moved the ball well. Assess his first half performance.
I think so, you know, and what he's going to have to do, though, in the second half, we're going to have to move it extremely well, too. We're going to have to play our best half of football here over these next 30 minutes.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Ted.
A moment before the start of the third quarter here in Utah, Air Force with a 10-6 lead, and it was as if Troy Calhoun wrote the script for the first half, Anthony Herron, the way it played out to give Air Force the lead.
It did, and really, it was quintessential Air Force football, just like I said there in the first half. 2 turnovers. Right now, no turnovers so far for Air Force, increasing that national leading average. And they came out early in the game, had an opportunity to force one right there. Eddie Wide picked up the football, scooped and scored it right there. But the Air Force defense was not done. Special teams came up huge right there as John Davis got the recovery, and that led to the touchdown from Jared Tu, the local boy. Connor Dietz, really an excellent job so far in this first half. 70 rushing yards, all on his own right there. And the decision-making is so key for a guy, especially as inexperienced as he is. And the pressure on the pocket, it really hasn't been there the entire game, but it's been at the key moments where they've been able to force Terrence Kane into some mistakes.
Absolutely, and Air Force kept the ball. So how does Utah react? Lindsay Soto with Kyle Whittingham.
Turnovers your biggest concern from the first half?
Without a doubt. You know, we put the ball on the ground 3 times. Fortunately, we only lost 2 of them. But we're playing into their hands. They're playing the exact type of game that Air Force would like to have played. And we got to start getting in some rhythm on offense. And we got 5 first downs on 100 yards of total offense. That's not going to get it done. So we got to get something generated on offense.
You're a tough team to defend. You knew that coming in, called them a headache. What do you need to do better on defense?
Well, you know, defense is not playing bad. We're giving up some yards, but the only touchdown they got is the one short field. It was 11-yard line or whatever it was. And so, you know, not too bad on defense, but we got to take some of the pressure off the D by moving the ball on offense.
Will we see Eddie White in the second half?
We hope so. We think he's going to be okay.
Foot?
Ankle.
Thanks.
Well, that would be a huge lift for Utah. They actually had had only about 65 yards of offense. Eddie White, as you saw clearly on the replay, returned a fumble for a touchdown. Inexplicably, they're giving him credit for a running play. I'm sure that will be corrected upon further review. But it gives you an idea of what Kyle Whittingham was saying. They didn't have an offense, Utah. This is a team that's over 400 yards a game.
Their one big play came off a broken play. That's not how Utah wants to operate.
All right, Reggie Rembert from the end zone. And he ran the wall. Utah cover man there just shy of the 20-yard line, and now it's Rembert a little slow to rise on that big hit. All right, let's take a look at the...
He's running up in there, but guess what? There's some Ute kickoff cover men that are running up in there coming in the opposite direction. Those full-speed collisions on the kickoff team, I'm telling you, that can jar your body.
Moala on the hit for Utah. So here's Rembert gets checked a bit. Now Air Force starting. Air Force held the ball for over 20 minutes in the first half. It's a Linga move. Now did Air Force draw? Let's see.
Offside. Defense, number 98. 5-yard penalty.
Anthony, let's look back at the keys you picked out on our Craftsman Tools for Success.
And the top one right there, the play action pass, they've only completed one so far, but that hasn't been the big thing. The 154 rushing yards, keeping that Utah defense off balance, and then tick-tock, over 20 minutes controlling the football for the Falcon offense.
So 1st and 5, and Dietz keeps it himself. Utah with only 3 down linemen. Dietz tried to sneak for a few off the right side, but got stopped. Linga again.
I think one thing we will see in this half, they will go back to the play action at least once, maybe 2 more times. For a lot of offenses, that's not a big deal, but for Air Force to return to that play action pass, they're going to have an opportunity at a big play.
Motion man Warzika. Option right side. Dietz keeps, lunges, is going to be just short of the first down. It's Justin Taplin-Ross, who's replacing the injured Joe Dale in the Utah secondary today. Came up and made the tackle.
Looking at that play right there from Connor Dietz, that really gives me an indication that he's really getting into a good rhythm right here. He's feeling a little bit of a flow as a ball carrier because he had a chance to pitch that to Asher Clark, decided to keep it on his own. So
another 3rd down. Air Force has been good on the 3rd downs. And they get another one with Jared, too. They are 6 for 10 today in 3rd down conversions against the 4th best 3rd down defense team in the country. Now, there's a little more to that. What Air Force has done today, for the most part, is make their 3rd downs very short distance. It's a big part of that number.
Yeah, very good observation right there, Ted. I like it. Blind dog.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. That's why the 3rd down stat can often be very deceiving. What Air Force has done on 1st and 2nds has made those 3rds a lot better. Dietz, 2nd pass, 2nd completion. Kyle Halderman just shy of the 50. Well, Air Force won last week, completing 1 pass against Wyoming. That's the 2nd today, good for 18.
Doubled up those pass completions already, and again, a play action look. Fakes the toss to the short side of the football field and then rolls out to the wide side. Does a nice job getting his shoulder square to the line of scrimmage so he can deliver the strike to Kyle Halderman.
And again, Air Force starting as they did in the first half, 2 first downs. Clark this time is bumped out. Robert Johnson, who's made his name this year for Utah as a ball hawk and free safety, he's been playing a lot like that so far today. I think doing a lot of this, hitting at the line of scrimmage.
And really, when you look at it, it makes a big difference when he can go in there and throw his body in towards the line of scrimmage, because he's been looked at as that ball hawk, like you said, in years past with good reason, leading the nation in interceptions with 5. But a game like today, this will really show whether or not Robert Johnson has gotten that versatility to come up and be that physical safety that can support in the run.
6'2", 200. That's his 9th tackle today. Xavier Stevens now the back. He's going to take the pitch. And strung out nicely. Utah defending that well. Kepa Geisen, linebacker, runs Stevens out. And now Air Force is going to have that play we talked about. They've avoided the longer third.
It's going to happen right there, just outside your screen. With Stevenson Sylvester, did you see him knock back at the point of attack? There is nowhere for the ball carrier to go when you've got that kind of penetration at the point of attack. And then again, not only able to take on the block, but able to stretch that play out and run the running back out of bounds. I love seeing that from an outside backer.
So 3rd and 9 for Air Force. He's going to run it up inside. Dietz is hit for a loss. Graham got back perhaps to the line of scrimmage. So Air Force 2 first downs, and then Utah stiffens at midfield. Will force the punt from Brandon Guyer. Matthews deep for the Utes. Matthews muffed one in the first half, which led to the Air Force touchdown. Air Force using the wide spread on this punt team with the 3-man front directly in front of the punter. Guyer nailed that. Like that. Good. Oh, and it does a great roll for Air Force. Well, Guyer looked like he really hit that one, but it hit the turf and died inside the 5. 14th time Guyer has died a punt inside the 20 this year for Air Force.
I'm in.
I'm a part of it.
Really don't want to start your drive on the heels of your own goal line, especially when you've had 3 punts in a row, and the drive preceding that was a fumble. The only touchdown they have so far, they fumbled on that one. Utah's got to get something going, I think, on this drive. Once they get away from the goal line, we're going to see them start to use some other athletes in there in that spread look.
Well, you've been talking about that. Kyle Whittingham said it perfectly with Lindsey. He said, look, we just don't have a rhythm. Spread the field here now, 5 wides on the shotgun. 4 rush for Air Force. Pass is caught by Iona Key, but he's wrapped up right away. So no first down. It's Chris Thomas on the Air Force play. Let's go down to Lindsey Soto.
Guys, Eddie White back out there. Both ankles heavily taped for the second half. Remember, it's the right ankle that he hurt in the first half. I've been keeping an eye on him on the sideline. He seems okay. He's had a smile on his face. He's been trying to fire up his teammates. He did a lot of pacing waiting to go out there. Not sure if that was to test the ankle or if he was just anxious to get back out there and make something happen. Ted?
Well, they need him. 3 straight 100-yard games. Here's a quick slant for a first down. And David Reed breaks 2 tackles. Now it's a foot race. And David Reed will win it. 91 yards. And with one explosive play, the entire complexion of a game changes.
Completely different football game right now, Ted Robinson. Terrence Kane, standing tall in the pocket, delivers the football on time. You got a playmaker like David Reed. Makes all the difference in the world with the way you can strike, especially with your heels on your own goal line.
Extra point kick. Joe Phillips missed 1 in the first quarter. Good here, and Utah is up 3. David Reed, leading pass catcher for Utah. His 42nd catch this year, a 91-yard catch and run for the Utah lead. David Reed, really on his play, has brought the crowd in Salt Lake City to their feet. 91 yards.
We're going to see 2 different receivers that get the defense with these leveled routes, and as they cross inside, that's where Air Force has been good so far in this game, coming up and making the tackles. Luke Hyder came up and missed the tackle on that one, and Terrence Kane is, of course, happy about the result of that play.
Well, the 2 defensive backs missed tackles, and then it was a foot race with a safety and a linebacker against David Reed. No race, no contest. Rembert on the run back for Air Force. And we get to the 20, ball free, Utah. The second straight kickoff that Rembert has been absolutely blasted. Elijah Wesson recovers.
And you love the courage that he runs up in there with, but you've got to have some ball security as you're running. He's carrying the football low, and just before he's able to get both hands and cover it up, the Utah coverage team comes up and puts a hat right on it.
Boo Anderson Redshirt freshman, Sandy Utah, here he is, made the hit. He's not feeling as great about it as his teammates are. And Rembert is the one really paying a price. And that's 2 kickoffs here in the third quarter that Rembert has been absolutely smoked.
You would think as they run that wedge look, be an opportunity to have a couple of lead blockers still getting him up in there in that crease.
And, you know, Anthony, you look at this play. Look at these two men. There's such a difference in the programs. As we'll take a look here at the hit again. But Utah has a whole bunch of guys that can just play special teams. And on the Air Force side, they're running their frontline guys out. They have to.
It's so key.
On special teams.
It's so key, especially as the football game progresses, to have some depth to be able to just stay in that matchup physically.
Yeah, well, the hit by Boo Anderson creates a fumble. Utah with the lead has the ball to 20 as the medical staff continues to work on Reggie Rembert.
I like to ride motorcycles on the edge.
Anthony, this is often the subject matter that comes up. Safety is kickoffs, kick cover situations, and here you see now Boo Anderson doesn't appear to be stung quite as badly as Reggie Rembert was, but you referenced this a little while ago. This is the high-speed collision that is probably the most dangerous part of a football game.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine you got 230 pounds in Boo Anderson running full speed down the field, coming off a block. 185 pounds in Reggie Rembert, just a high-speed collision with nothing but space and opportunity in between them. Your body gets contorted and battered and bruised in so many different ways on a football field, especially on that kickoff team.
Well, right now, the good news there for Air Force at least is Rembert able to get up and walk off. Now for Utah, a chance to seize control of the game. A 91-yard touchdown followed by a fumble recovery, and now they're in business at the Air Force 20. Make the fly sweep. This is Matthews on the direct snap. So it took to the third quarter for them to run the Anthony Herron play here, but they did.
Been waiting to see it the whole game, getting that extra element in the run game with that spread offense. Terrence Kane, he's athletic enough to do this on his own, but they want to decrease the hits that he takes in the run game.
And Matthews gets 5 on the first down run. Well, this is a score. If Utah can put this in the end zone, and red zone has been a struggle for them this year until last week. If you put Air Force down 10, that puts them in a whole different predicament. Fly sweep handoff. This is Brooks. Moves to the 15. Now, yesterday we talked to Kyle Whittingham. Utah had red zone problems early in the year. They seemed to conquer it last week at UNLV. And Kyle Whittingham said they had to put a new package in after the season started of plays under center to help them in the red zone.
It really makes a big difference when you get the QB under center. That allows you to have the fullback and the tailback behind you. You can run some more play action. You can have some lead blockers in the run game. But back here by the 15, it's not as helpful to have that element back here.
And not under center. 3 straight shotgun plays here. They need 5. And let's see. They'll start. They'll need 10. That's the kind of thing. Now, that's one thing that hasn't hurt Utah yet today has been penalties. It's Beatles, the 4-year starter.
He just flinched it, yep. You watch the big guy's hips. He's going to be hard to miss.
Utah's had a real penalty problem. They're last in the Mountain West. Most yards per game penalized. But those are the penalties that Kyle Whittingham said we've cut down. The false starts. Those sort of penalties have been reduced.
And those are the types of penalties that take points off the board when you get them at the wrong time.
And now Utah forced to take a timeout on the 3rd and 10. You can see Kyle Whittingham's frustration to get a chance to really seize momentum fully, but they need to convert a 3rd and 10 to do so. Well, the NHL is on Versus, and on Tuesday, November 3rd, it's Henrik Zetterberg and the explosive Red Wings attack against last year's top netminder Tim Thomas and the Bruins. An original 6 battle, Bruins and Red Wings, Tuesday, November 3rd, 7 Eastern, the NHL on Versus.
Looking at this 3rd and 10 situation right here, really huge for both sides. For Utah, you can still get a first down getting the ball inside the 10-yard line. If you're Air Force and you stop them right here and hold them to a field goal, you're still within one score.
And the significance of this play right here for Air Force is huge. And with their offensive style of play, they are not a great come-from-behind team. So the play coming right from the sideline, Kane in the gun, has wide on his left. Late blitz coming. Ball dropped. Wide picks it up. Now he's got some blocking. And Wide came perilously close from the Air Force view to actually get a first down. He's at the 14, 4 short.
I'm sure Tim DeRuiter, the defensive coordinator from Air Force, was worried maybe we were going to see a little replay of what happened on that first drive of the game. John Davis coming on that blitz right there needs to stay on his feet. Jumping in the air, trying to knock the pass down, that's one thing, but go in there and secure the tackle.
So on 4th and 4, no gambling here for Utah. They will go for the points with Joe Phillips, 6 for 6 in field goals. And he just tucks that one inside the upright. So Utah taking advantage of its first takeaway today. It's 3 points out of that, and the Utes are now up by 6. And if you're on the Air Force side right now, you just exhale. That's big, big save for them.
Utah's really been laying the lumber in the second half so far here. And there's a lot of red shirts that have been floating towards the football and then putting a hat on that ball. That's when you can get it to come out. Setting up that offense. Defense turning the offense for Utah.
So 3 points that Air Force was able to hold Utah to there is significant to keep them within a score. There's the cover man that created the fumble on the previous kick. Ben Froman does the kickoff duties, handles them for Utah. Jared 2 deep for Air Force, along with John Warzika, but there's the strong leg. That's why Froman handles kicking off, and Air Force will take it from the 20.
You aren't lying about a strong leg, man. You nearly kicked that out of the end zone. But I think Air Force, going to the sideline after that last defensive series, they look at that as a small victory. There's points on the board, but it came off the turnover in that sudden change situation. The defense went out there and held them to a field goal. No touchdown on the board for Utah. It really keeps them in a position where right now Connor Dietz can go back out here and continue to run the offense as they have so far.
Well, Air Force, more weeks than not, is going to run for 100 yards since they don't throw it very much. That's pretty much a staple for them. And there's Dietz on the keeper, and he just barely got past the line.
And really, that last statistic we showed you, Connor Dietz creeping ever so slightly towards the 100-yard rushing mark on his own. It's really more than an individual ball carrier for Air Force. When they reach that 100-yard mark, they've been 13-3 under Troy Calhoun.
Stacked up that triple I there as the give goes to Clark. Bumped into his blocker, and Utah starting to defend with more strength in the third quarter. Dave Kruger with the initial push. Hampton, the center, ended up right here in the back of Asher Clark.
It's coming right there in the teeth of the defense. Silver Saliga right there in the middle, knocking it back. And when you get that kind of push in the middle, the rest of the defense can just rally and swarm to the football. And you got Air Force sitting at 3rd and long. That's not where you want to be if you're a Falcon.
And look at this, the Falcons going to a shotgun. Dietz gonna keep it and stop short. Flag flies in. 27-yard line. That's it's 3 yards short of the first. Keppa Geisen, Robert Johnson on the tackle. And this will be a penalty Utah would likely decline.
Looks like Kevin Geisen left the field holding his shoulder on there. And I think he's going to be the guy you're going to see come into the left side of your screen. Yeah, reacts off the block, gets in there, involved in the tackle.
Well, our referee got a little confused there, and obviously Utah is going to decline the penalty. They have no interest in giving Air Force a replay of a third down. That's
would have been unconventional.
So it'll be fourth down. Air Force player shaken up was outside the player's bench area, so making that player get up and move inside the allowed area. Brandon Geyer does the punting.
See if Utah comes after this one.
Nope, they peel back on this. And Matthews with the clean catch. And he turned the corner. Well, Air Force out there is string it out. Well done. That's Ryan Gonzalez, four-year starter, senior offensive lineman, having to play on the kick cover team. So let's take a look at our Lee Jeans quality player profile. The most unique young man is Zane Beadles.
Unique to me in that he's a mechanical engineering major. Of course, on that Lowe's Senior Class Award finalist list as well. But a guy that size, an All-America candidate, 6'4", 305, excellent football player, but excellent in the classroom as well. Really, he would fit in with this Air Force group with the schedule he has to keep during the week. Barely enough time to play football.
That'll be shotgun first down. Eddie Wide gets the ball, and he's out to the 40. St. Beadles, we had a chance to visit with him for a few minutes yesterday, and it's great. We need to develop more engineers. And he started talking mechanical engineering to us, and it made my head hurt. But the person who did understand it all is Lindsay Soto.
Yeah, I didn't understand anything he said, but I can tell you more about what he said. He's working on a senior project right now, trying to develop a wheelchair lift for people in New Orleans to use to get in and out of their homes now that housing codes require homes in flood areas to be at least 4 feet off the ground. He says the wheelchair lifts that exist now are pretty expensive, so they're trying to find a way to create one that is more affordable. And the most recent hurdle that he crossed, and this is the one that made your head hurt, he said they got the basic design for the driving mechanism down. So no underwater basket weaving classes going on in Zach Beadles' itinerary.
And Lindsay's pen was just smoking as she was taking notes when Zane Beadles was telling us about it. I just gave up about halfway through.
A big hit there by Chris Thomas to create that incompletion. Now third down for Utah. And that's incomplete. Kane trying to go back to Reed, and Air Force gets a 3 and out.
Chris Thomas is a guy that's got versatility for them on defense, as do so many other Air Force defenders. He's a guy they can move him up to outside backer. When you see him closing on that football and hitting people like that, it makes you know that's why he can be up towards the line of scrimmage as well. Good physical play there from Thomas.
So the Falcons will get it right back on a 3 and out. Utah's offense right now has been, in essence, has been 2 big plays. The fumble recovery by Eddie Wide for a touchdown, and the 91-yard run, really, with a pass reception by David Reed. Look at this break. Up the middle, it's Rembert. All right, that's not Rembert, that's John Davis. Rembert is out, so it's John Davis running it, breaking from the middle to the Air Force side of the field and getting it near midfield. A 45-yard punt and a 36-yard John Davis return.
Just the kind of spark you need for Air Force. A couple of little nifty moves right there. Great athleticism. And you see people sticking on their blocks for Air Force downfield. Look at all his teammates just trying to lead him up the sideline. Everyone wants this game so bad here. You can tell by the effort.
That is just so critical for Air Force to get, if they can get a big play. Through the years of Air Force football, they were always good in special teams. Gave them such a lift. Not have to drive long fields all the time. Great move by Ashley Clark, but then the pursuit by who else? Robert Johnson. That appears to me to be his 37th tackle today. He has been all over the place, and it's weird because it's not the role you watch the Utah on tape. You've been seeing Robert Johnson 25 yards down the field.
Yeah, certainly tackle number 11 for Robert Johnson. And, I mean, he's a guy, he gets his hands on the football so much, and so that's what makes the headlines. But when you see him be able to have this element in his game as well, really impressive. And you know the NFL scouts are impressed with him too.
Changing up. Play came in from the side, 2nd and 9. Halderman in motion. Going to give it to Halderman on the fly sweep, and a nice play. That was a good call by the Air Force side. Changing that play at the line, and Halderman should be right at the first down. Now they're giving him a first on the mark at the Utah 40. Now here's the ball hawking Robert Johnson we were talking about.
And he can get up, and he's got the ball skills to go up and get it. You know, he's always been that guy. Even a couple of years ago, he was able to take over football games by the fact that he could go up and make plays looking like a wide receiver at certain times.
That was against Colorado State as Jared 2 runs it down to the 35. Robert Johnson, 7 takeaways this year, 5 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. No other player in D1 is responsible for more than 5 turnovers. He's responsible for 7. And then look at that tackling exhibition today.
It's amazing how some guys just have a knack for being around the ball, and then when they're near it, a guy like Robert Johnson is going to come up with it more often than not.
Here's Air Force now inside the Utah 35. Warzika gets a pitch and another first down. So the good punt return by John Davis, setting up Air Force here with the short field.
Exactly. Began with the 3 and out from the defense, and then that punt return really shifted Big Mo. You get people coming out on the edge, and then right there, just cutting the defender down out there in the open field.
I haven't used that word yet today, cut, but that's a big part of when you play really all the academies, but Air Force renowned for it. Dietz got a man in the flat and a drop. Nathan Walker had some room. First incompletion for Air Force today.
And the play action has really set up nicely for Air Force. They've gotten some big games off the play action pass. Nathan Walker's got to come up with this football, though, because it's so critical. Like we talked about, you're going to have a handful of opportunities to make something happen off the play action. Got to take advantage when it's there.
It's changing at the line. Players coming in to be sure they hear. Dietz keeps to the 25, so Utah stuffs that nicely. It'll be 3rd down and 8 coming up for Air Force. J.J. Williams, Utah linebacker, on the tackle.
Air Force comes out with that balance set where you got the 2 wings just outside the tackles and then both backs offset evenly. As soon as you see that motion, if you're Utah, I think you need to rip Blizzard, just slant the front in that direction.
Again, a change on 3rd and 8. Air Force 6 of 12 today on thirds. And again, this one of the few long ones they've had. Fly sweep, Warzika's got the corner and more. Another terrific call by the Air Force staff, and they have 1st and goal.
Again, we talk about that and 1 mixtape from Connor Dietz. The ball handling skills really continuing to improve for this young quarterback. Excellent job on the play action fake right there with the dive inside, and then Jonathan Warzika getting the edge on the Utah defense. But as soon as he came in motion, I think Utah, you slant the front in that direction.
Dietz keeps it again after the fake to 2. Dietz to the 7. Kepper Geisen, Utah tackle. So Air Force. A few minutes ago, Utah had a chance to go up 10 in this game, didn't. And look how significant again that stop by Air Force was in a series that's renowned for close games. We're going to have another one today. What Air Force is going to face now is here comes their biggest 3rd down of the day. Salinga stops Jared 2 at the 4.
The
thing you don't want as a defender is to be in a passive mode. You want to stay aggressive. You want to be able to attack, and that's why I'm saying if they slant that front, the linebackers are able to play off of it from Utah. Then everyone's got to fit. But you don't want to sit back and wait and watch.
Two receivers left. Air Force going weak side, and Dietz is wrapped up. Derek Shelby wrapped up Connor Dietz. And Air Force, looks like here they will kick it. They will go for 3.
They went with this reverse pivot play again, faking it to the left to Jared 2. As Connor Dietz rolled back, the whole Utah defense is there waiting on it, led by the charge, Derek Shelby.
Eric Soderberg, 15 of 20 this year. And kicks his second today, so that's it's good for Air Force. Mild disappointment, 4 yards away from taking the lead. But they are back within 3 in the closing seconds of the third quarter.
They certainly strike me as an outfit that's comfortable operating in a game like this. It's a 3-point game. It's late in the third quarter. These close contests, you know, these types of games. I think the Air Force Falcons,
you know, they played TCU, as you see how they've played closing out seasons under Troy Calhoun. They played TCU a couple of weeks ago on a frigid night, just ridiculously cold night at the Academy, and they found a way. TCU was going up and down the field on them, and Air Force finally scores late in the game to get within 3. The game comes down to an onside kick in the closing minute. It strikes me that that's what Air Force is about, Anthony. They find ways to stay around.
Yeah, and that's Troy Calhoun. His approach to the game really lends itself towards that. You know, the ball security, the turnovers on defense, the time of possession, all those things mean that every contest when you're out there on the field, you have a chance to keep it close. If you're in the game late, then it's up to your players to make plays.
Soderberg kicking for Air Force. This will be Christopher for Utah. Oh, good cover job there. That's Brian Lindsay, freshman for Air Force. Troy Calhoun doesn't want to play freshmen. Got 15 of them playing this year. Good job on the cover there. Well, after we're finished in Salt Lake City, we go 50 miles down the Wasatch Range, and this is the one that the eyes of the country are on tonight. TCU and BYU. It's coming up only here on Versus.
How about the Mountain West Conference?
3 teams in the top 20 of the BCS. Only the SEC has more in the top 25.
And now the spotlight game in college football coming up tonight.
The Mountain West is there's a jump by Ricketts on Air Force's side, but you know what the Mountain West has said is, you know, just judge us based on performance, be objective. And when you stack up the Mountain West's achievements objectively against the BCS conferences, the Mountain West is right there in virtually every measure.
A great look at it right there. The most wins, non-BCS versus BCS teams. And 3 of the top teams here in the Mountain West have stacked up numbers
even
since
more.
98.
Right. If you look at the last 3 years in games against BCS teams, the Mountain West has a better record than the Big East, the Big 12, or the Big 10. Those are BCS leagues. The Mountain West has done better against BCS teams than those BCS conferences themselves. That's what we're saying, is that it's in the second year now of a 4-year evaluation period for the Mountain West to try to get automatic qualification. And they need to continue that kind of play in the regular season games. Bowl games will not count for them. It doesn't matter, but the regular season games do. So 3 quarters finished here at Salt Lake City. Now Whittingham's Utes holding to a 3-point lead.
It's got more beef than a frog.
School history last week. They have the second longest pass play in the history of Utah football today. 91 yards from Kane to David Reed. But they're in a fight with Air Force as we start the fourth quarter, 2nd and 13. Batted down. Air Force Miles Morales. DN got the mitts up to swat that ball away.
What you've got to do if you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, get in that throwing window. Sets up a 3rd down now. You got an opportunity to get off the field as a defender. Standing tall in the pocket from Kane. Look at Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Picks that one off. Who knows? Maybe he goes to the house.
He spiked it instead of swallowing it. That's what.
Hey, don't ask us D-line.
I know. I was going to say.
A bunch of catching
Come on. How many chances at a pick six did you get? Right.
2, if you want the true answer.
Here comes a blitz on Kane, and Air Force gets him. Right up the middle was John Felgu. A senior who's been given some responsibility. Ken LaMendola, terrific linebacker for the academy, out for the year with injury. And his replacement, untouched.
Coming right at you in the middle of your screen, John Felgu. 6 foot, 225-pounder, unblocked. They've dialed up some timely blitzes there from Air Force. Tim DeRuiter doing a very nice job. Utah leading the Mountain West Conference with least sacks on their quarterback, but Air Force has done a nice job with timely pressure.
Yeah, Utah had only been sacked 8 times all year. Right, Anthony Wright, and he's wrapped up right there. Terrific cover job by Stanford. R.J. Stanford, 50-yard punt and no return. And that's the reason right there. That man's covered. Stanford. So Air Force takes over, up 3, fourth quarter as we go down to Lindsay Soto.
Well, you guys, there's so much that is different about playing football for Air Force than playing in a different school. You remember their #1 priority is to prepare the players for active duty, so football cannot dominate their schedule, and it doesn't. They wake up at 6 a.m., have breakfast at 7, have class from 7:30 to 11:30. They are marching in formation at 11:45 as a group going to lunch with their squadron. At 12:45, the leadership training, they squeeze some of that in. At 1:30, that's when the guys that need to go see the trainer go do that before they start practice. Team meetings at 2 o'clock, weightlifting at 3, practices from 4 to 5:30, dinner at 6:30, study groups at 7:30. They are studying, and then it is lights out at 11 o'clock, ready to get up at 6 a.m. the next day and do it all over again. Not much time for a social life, not that much time for football.
And there's a pitch to Asher Clark. He's going to get close to the first. So it'll be 3rd and 1 coming up for Air Force. Stevenson Sylvester on the Utah tackle.
Lindsay, I was tired just listening to that. Man, I mean, the regiment of the day of an Air Force Academy cadet.
Somehow they get 20 hours of football and all that. Oh, and Utah was ready there. 3rd and 1, and they swallowed Jared too.
And every once in a while, as a defensive coach, you just got to take a shot. Let your guys stay in an aggressive mentality. Excellent job there inside, playing off the cut block and then penetrating into the backfield. And they brought both inside linebackers and allowed them to just go hit that gap.
So 4th and 2, they lose 1 on that play. And Air Force will punt. But now Utah takes a timeout. They were caught. They have 12 men on the field. I think that's why Kyle Whittingham called the timeout. They got caught with personnel. They had 12 men on the field. So with all the confusion, the alert part was somebody on that sideline called a timeout. Avoided a penalty, which would have been a first down. Staff are not pleased. There was some confusion.
Well, believe it or not, I've been in this situation before, Ted. Now, what I think happened was that there was some confusion about whether or not to leave the regular defense on as punt safe or to put the punt return team on the field.
And that ball, Geyer, who had been hitting those Bellotta punts in the first half and dying them inside the 10, not able to get that bounce there. 55-yard punt, which will be a net 35 as Utah will come out to the 20. So Utah with still, I would think, Anthony, the desire to establish rhythm. Just one significant down the field drive. String together 4 or 5 first downs. They really have not done that today.
We've talked about them as that team. They've been one of the top time of possession teams in the Mountain West Conference today. It's been about the big play for them offensively.
And there's a big play for Air Force. Sasan Shakarin is gobbled up. That's Garland. Ben Garland, 275-pound, call him a nose tackle, I guess, and he was right there.
Check that penetration right there from Ben Garland. He wanted to get in the backfield, and there was nobody that was going to stop him on the Utah offensive line.
That's -6 on a first down running play.
Talk about putting someone behind the chains.
You ought to get you ought to get a sack for that, right?
Got to get something, a cookie, something good.
Air Force brings 4. Kane going to put it down and run to the 20, and then he's hit Thomas and Moore on the tackle for Air Force, and it'll leave Utah 3rd and 10.
They went with the pass rush game. They ran the ET stunt, twisting the defensive front. Utah actually did a decent job picking it up. Terrence Kane, that was one of the first times during the game where he decided, I'm going to take it on my own and take off using my legs to try to gain some yardage.
Here are the Utes, just 2 of 9 on thirds today. 4 receivers for Kane to look at, and he hits Reed, but Reed slips. Lost his footing shy of the marker.
Really an excellent pass right there from Terrence Kane, too. Hits David Reed right between the numbers. He's such a good run-after-catch guy. Stair steps the defender right there, and he's got it secured. He knows he needs to turn outside to get that first down. Gets his head out in front of his feet.
And we did have a rain shower that came through here in the second quarter. There could be some effect of that still on the turf. But for Air Force, a big break. And Utah forced to punt it. Anthony Wright is the return man for the Academy. He's going to take the fair catch. So Air Force gets another shot here, down 3 in the fourth quarter at Utah.
Before you.
Well, a series in recent history been almost all close games, and last year was no exception at the Academy. Even though the yardage, Utah was more than 2-1 better than Air Force.
When you look at this game, it really came down to the final drive of the game to seal it.
And Darrell Mack scored 3 touchdowns in the second half. The final one came with 58 seconds to play to give Utah the win.
And the year before that, back in 07, Air Force won right here at Rice Eccles Stadium.
So now the Falcons start. Dietz on first down. Out of the backfield, it's 2. For a short gain. That was the 65th play that Air Force has run today, and just the 5th passing play. And now 65 plays for Air Force, 37 plays for Utah. Tick-tock.
Not able to maintain drives.
2nd and 6. Run that fly sweep again with Warzika. He's out. Good tackle there to keep him. Well, no, looks like he got a first. Well, the Air Force staff's seeing something, aren't they, Anthony, to call that fly sweep on it? It has been effective.
It's because Utah is just delaying for just a moment. They're seeing that action inside with the fullback. And just if you hesitate for a moment, Air Force is fast enough to get to the edge of your defense, especially with a guy like Jonathan Warzika.
First downs, all Air Force, 17-6. Fake it this time, looking for the big ball. Down the field for Fogler. Broken up. Brandon Burton. The forgotten man today for Air Force is their wide receiver, the one split they use, Kevin Fogler. Big guy at 6'5".
I really like what Troy Calhoun dials up right here. Goes with the play action. Counter Dietz is playing the action right there, trying to get the ball up high to his 6'5" wide receiver. Kevin Fogler is able to just throttle down just a bit and try to go high point that football. He's got a shot at it.
Back to the option on 2nd down. Clark is in trouble. On that side, Stevenson Sylvester's played nicely for Utah.
Done an excellent job. When you've seen Air Force get to the edge of the Utah defense, it has rarely, and I mean rarely, been to the side of Stevenson Sylvester, whether they've had a lead blocker out in front of them or not.
That's the Muss. There's really strong student support section. Almost 5,000 strong for Utah. Defense now in a better spot. They've got Air Force 3rd and 10. Pass again. Halderman. Halderman hangs on inside the Utah 40. 28 yards.
I'm going to tell you what, it wasn't the prettiest pass in the world from Connor Dietz. It came off the play action yet again, and it just creates that space. That slight hesitation by the linebacker allows Kyle Halderman to beat him to the spot.
Jared, too, is piled up as he gets to the 35.
It's, of course, more about the result, the completion. That's the big thing for Troy Calhoun. These are the plays that Connor Dietz has not been able to make up to this point in the season. Continuing to progress as a passer, as a quarterback, really takes the Air Force offense to another level.
Air Force has controlled the ball, first downs, decent yardage, just one touchdown. Now pushing to try to get themselves at least into field goal range as Stevens outside. Stopped for maybe half a yard. Hoamisi for Utah. And this is that limbo zone Air Force ended up in the first half on one drive. Really not in the field goal range of their kicker.
And to me, this is 4-down territory. Yes. You've crossed the 35-yard line, out of field goal range. A punt doesn't really gain you that much yardage unless you really pin them in. I think they got 2 drives, 2 downs here to try and get the first down.
Dietz drops back to the gun. Reverse to Hunter. Oh, and does a terrific job. Kepa Geisen fought off the block. Ryan Gonzalez was out there, the left guard, trying to block, their left tackle rather, and Geisen fought it off and dropped Hunter.
Ryan Gonzalez is an excellent football player, too. You get your big left tackle out there in space on the stud linebacker from Utah. It's a one-on-one matchup, but guess what? There's a ball carrier coming out there behind him. Can't overstate the play that was just made there by Kepa Geisen.
Well, they got close enough to give Soderberg a shot. His longest in his first year as an Air Force kicker is 48. This will be 49. And it is good. He nails it with plenty to spare. And Air Force has tied the game. Well, those few yards that Hunter got on that reverse were enough perhaps to give Troy Calhoun the reason to say go for it.
Exactly. Makes a big difference. The faith that Troy Calhoun has in his kicker and his football team is coming through so far. 16 all in the fourth.
Ball off the tee there, and Soderberg has come back to kick a 49-yarder, the longest of his 1 year at Air Force, to put Air Force into a tie with a team ranked in the top 20 in the BCS. Plays. Air Force has held the ball. They've strung together first downs, just one into the end zone. That's the one thing that has this game level. Devontae Christopher. And a good field position for Utah out across the 35. Michael Hunter on the tackle for Air Force.
Christopher had a small seam there. Close to taking that one to the house. But does set up nice field position here for his offense to start this drive off.
Well, Utah, not much time of possession. He did have the 91-yard catch and run pass play from Kane to David Reed, but no sustained offense. Now Terrence Kane needs to engineer one drive to try to give Utah a late lead. Inside, Eddie Wide runs it across the 40. Terrence Kane is actually getting, had a chance to visit a little bit with Brian Johnson, the guy that led Utah to the 13-0 season last year. Brian Johnson tried out for the UFL, did not make it, is back here in Salt Lake and is preparing to get into coaching. Speaking of which.
Speak of the devil.
Last two quarterbacks here, Alex Smith and Brian Johnson. Not bad.
Good lineage they've got going here in Utah.
On second down, wide again. So Utah going to the run, but they don't get the first. Well, 3rd and 1. Ricketts on the Air Force stop.
Tim DeRuyter's going to bring it right here. And I bet you he's going to have his down linemen are coming, the linebackers are coming. Everyone's got their ears pinned back here for Air Force, I bet you.
Playing the run.
Oh, yeah.
If you're Utah, do you gamble? Thinking you got 2 downs?
It's certainly an opportunity for it.
Eddie wide the deep back. You need a full yard. Well, that play does not go cleanly, and that is going to be another one of those penalties. Now this is
Offense, number 80. 5-yard penalty.
When we asked Kyle Whittingham about the penalties yesterday, he talked about how he's actually not so upset always with some of the aggressive penalties that a team gets. He thinks that's not always a bad thing. Those are the penalties that are a bad thing.
Exactly. There's going to be times where you're finishing a block and a flag gets thrown, but something like that, you got a 3rd and short. It really hurts your football team.
So now Utah spreads. 2 left, 3 right. Air Force only brings 3. Can Kane find somebody? Now he's going to try to run it, and Kane does not get there. So Air Force had 8 men to cover. Kane had nowhere to go. Now what does Utah do on 4th and 2?
I believe this is a situation you punt the football. Still over 4:20 on the clock. You got a chance to get a stop and then get the football back if you're changing field position right here.
One thing, other factor that comes into play here, Utah has just 1 timeout. That's 6 of 11 possessions for Utah. They've gone 3 and out. So a team that was averaging over 419 yards of offense, not had that offense today. The Air Force got in there on Selwood. Now Air Force is going to get pinned. Well, the Falcons put a little bit of pressure on Selwood. He got the kickoff, and then he got a great bounce. 53-yard punt and roll. Connor Deet's going to have his work cut out for him now.
He really is, and he's had an excellent football game. I believe a career game today for Connor Deets. He started off doing what he already knew how to do, running the football. But then as the game went on, we've seen him start to develop as a passer. And this Air Force offense is never going to lend itself to Connor Deets dropping back and throwing the ball 40 times in a game. But if he can do what he's done so far, 5 out of 7, 140 total yards of offense for Deets, that's going to get it done.
21 carries, 81 yards. Going to keep it here and just get some room out to the 7. So the decision by Kyle Whittingham to punt now looks a lot better after that little bounce that Selwood's punt got. And Air Force is going to have to try to push themselves out of the shadow of their end zone. Second down. Fly sweep Warzika. Oh, and a horse collar tackle that will give Air Force a first down. Derek Shelby.
The onus is on the line judge to make this call. I'm not certain I agree with the flag right here because the spirit of the horse collar rule is that if you run with that ball carrier for a step or two, if you're not yanking him down instantly, then the flag should not come out.
I was looking at it carefully because it looked like his hand might have grazed his face mask, but they did call the horse collar.
They did call the horse collar on Derek Shelby. And it's a bang-bang thing. The call has to get made in an instant. For me, I think that's a situation where you could have maybe let that flag go.
Player safety emphasis, right?
Big time.
Always going to err. The officials err on the side of player safety.
Always.
So it's to the 21-yard line and a first down for Air Force. Now the umpire stopping play there to confer with the referee. Corey, referee Rich Colin. This is a CFO West crew for collective collaboration of 4 conferences this year.
They awarded an extra yard there, so they wanted to make sure they got the spot correct.
Previous line was the 7, so the 15-yard penalty puts it at the 22. Swings it out, Asher Clark right there. Who else? Robert Johnson. There was a thought on the Air Force side that if Johnson played this aggressively today, that it might open up the downfield pass. Air Force has only really tried the middle of the field one time.
And he can just cover so much ground. And he does it in an intelligent way where he knows the situations where he can attack the line of scrimmage, as you just saw him do right there.
Very little gain. The problem here for Utah, and remember one of the timeouts they used was because of the confusion on special teams. They can't really do anything to stop the clock. You want to give yourself one timeout if you get the ball back. Air Force had a ton of third downs today. This is their 18th third down play. They've converted 8.
Going into that spread formation, I would be shocked if you saw Connor Dietz throw this football here.
That's a false start on Air Force.
False start. Offense, number 59. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Hampton, the center there. I was just looking at Troy Calhoun. All week long, it was about quarterback position. And he said, you know, Tim Jefferson hasn't looked as explosive as he did prior to his ankle injury early this season. Say after today, there's no quarterback question anymore at Air Force. Not right now. Dietz trying to do it himself, swallowed up. So now the question is for Utah, and they did use the timeout.
We haven't called his name a lot, but Koemisi has had to be up near the line of scrimmage quite a bit today. This guy that can play some defensive end, he can play some outside linebacker. He gets after the quarterback. He can really rush the passer effectively.
So Kyle Whittingham Gamble is using his last timeout to save time. And as soon as we're finished here, we're going down to Provo for the big one between TCU and BYU. That's coming up next here on Versus. TCU with a road win tonight. They take a big step toward leapfrogging Boise State, given the relative strengths of the conferences involved, and giving themselves a chance to be what Utah was last year.
The eyes of the college football world are on that game. Even ESPN Game Day shows up in Provo.
And of course, Utah knows they still get their shots at both of those teams coming up this year. So Matthews back to receive the punt for Utah. Geyer standing at a 6-yard line. Good snap. And Matthews will have a chance here, but he muffed it and was able to cover. The second muff by Matthews. Well, they're going to continue to scrum here, and the officials trying to get in there and restore some order. Matthews up with the football. A 42-yard punt.
Matthews just not able to quite get under that football. You want to make sure you're in a position where at least you're coming forward. That was one good thing Matthews did. A lot of times you'll see these punt returners get too deep under the ball, then you have to back up, and it's so difficult to catch it like that. He was in position to recover because he had not put himself too far under the football.
So Utah, 60 seconds, no timeouts. That strong-legged kicking to see if they can position themselves to avoid overtime. Kane to the middle, incomplete for Reed.
Like what Tim DeRuyter did right there. He's forcing the issue. Brought Justin Moore from the inside linebacker position, trading gaps between himself and the nose guard.
Utah going without a huddle. They've got 4-5 now. Men spread 3 left, 2 right. And Air Force bringing 5 on the rush. Kane comes underneath to Jeremy Brooks, and he's run out of bounds. Good defensive play there by John Davis. Holds Brooks to a minimal gain. Looks like about a yard.
When you're going to bring heat like this down after down, it puts the onus on Anthony Wright, on John Davis, Reggie Rembert, on those guys on the outside to come up and make tackles. These aren't zone blitzes. They're bringing 5, 6 every time so far in this series.
And Anthony, is it surprising you that Utah is not able to get any passing setup down the field?
Earlier in the game, yes. Right here, no, because of the fact that they're forcing the football to come out quickly.
So Utah has converted just 2 third downs today. Kane underneath Reed, but wrapped up. Andre Morris coming back. Had to get full medical clearance after concussion. Was cleared to play today and makes a big tackle for Air Force. And this now forces, well, Utah is going to let the clock run here. Well, they have no choice, I should say. They're out of timeouts. It's Troy Calhoun that was letting the clock run. Now he's calling a timeout.
And there's defensive backs around the country that can't run with David Reed in the way that we just saw Andre Morris do right there. That's an extremely impressive play from their outside linebacker. The thing that set him up was that he got some hands on him. Just as he's coming on that shallow cross across the formation, got some hands on him to throw that route off just enough.
Well, last year's game was decided in the final minute of regulation with Utah winning. We're staring straight in the face of overtime here. This will be the 7th 3-and-out possession for Utah today. That is what a tribute to the Air Force defense.
Rarely find an Air Force defender out of position. And really, the play we just highlighted a moment ago that was made by Andre Morris, he was in the exact spot that he had to be if a shallow cross came over the center of that formation.
So Sean Selwood to punt it for Utah. Air Force has nobody back guarding against any sort of a fake, so they'll just let this ball hit, die, and then Air Force will play for overtime. And given that result, that is exactly what we're staring at. We are staring, barring a Joe Pisarcik play here, at overtime. Google it if you're too young to know what I'm talking about. Like Anthony Herron, he's looking at me like, what are you talking about?
I do think Troy Calhoun, he's got a couple of little tricks up his sleeve. I don't think he'll do it right here back on his own 7-yard line now.
Of course, overtime. Air Force lost overtime game to Navy this year. Utah's not played an overtime game. And with Dietz taking a knee, that's where we're heading. So close games, the hallmark of this series, and we take it a step further here in Salt Lake today as these two will play overtime.
And I prefer to think of it as the Herman Moore play.
That's right. Yeah. There you go. That's what we like. We cover all generations. I like that. Well, the Utah fans are a little disappointed. This was the first of 3 straight home games. Wyoming and New Mexico to follow. And a lot of Utah folks, I'm sure, were thinking, all right, this is where we're going to get ourselves really positioned for our shots, Utah shots at both TCU and BYU to come up near the end of the season. Both of those, however, are on the road for Utah.
They began the year with 4 of their first 6 games on the road. It's really tough to make some hay in your schedule when you're traveling that often. Coming out at 5-1, of course, they've still gotten off to a hot start this year.
For those, for anybody who's not familiar with the college overtime, we play from the 25-yard line. Each team gets a possession. There's our lows building toward the BCS, the first BCS standings of the year that were released early this week. And for the Mountain West, and the significance of the late game to follow us is, of course, TCU needing to put a significant win on the board to make sure they get past Boise State. Boise State they play at Hawaii tonight, but they really don't have a significant challenger left on their schedule.
That's really what it comes down to for Boise. The assumption is that they're going to finish the season undefeated. So will some of these other teams, will Iowa at number 6, if they remain undefeated, be able to hop over Boise with the strength of their schedule that remains?
All right, so there's the college overtime system, 25-yard line. Each team gets a shot. And if we play to a third overtime, you must go for 2 after a touchdown. Someday the pros are going to have this, where each team gets a possession after the 25-yard line.
I'm not a fan of it.
You're not a fan of what?
It's okay in college. The NFL rule, I think, is fine. You kick the ball deep, your defense has an opportunity to make a play.
Okay, so when their Super Bowl gets decided that way, I want to go in the losing team's locker room and tell me how they feel about that.
I'm going to yell at him and say you should have stopped them on defense.
We start with a coin toss, which will determine winning team will have their choice of offense or defense first.
The toss for the tiebreaker has elected to play defense. Utah's choice will be that end of the field to play the 20 from the 25.
So Rich's mic cut out there, but I believe Air Force going to have the ball first, right? So we'll come back. Mountain West, this doubleheader beginning with overtime in Utah. Utah overtime coming up. It'll be Utah with the ball first in their first overtime game of the year. Terrence Kane, 9 of 18 passing today for 155. Utah running just 43 plays in regulation. Coming on the flat drop, a rare tight end throw there. Dropped by Ben Hendy. Haven't thrown much to the tight end in Utah until last week's game. And they got Hendy involved. That's the first ball today. So 6 years ago, the last overtime game between these two. Utah at 5-1. Their only loss at Oregon. Air Force 4-3, but already 3 conference wins. Kane is strong left set, 3 receivers left. And they try to run against with Eddie Wide. And Wide is going to be stopped short of the first. But a very good gain on the second down play.
Excellent gain on second down, bringing up a key 3rd and short right here. Nice job by the offensive line, and they didn't blow people off the ball, but they stuck on those blocks just long enough for Eddie Wide to be able to hit that hole.
Utah has struggled today on thirds. They are just 2 of 12. One of them, the 91-yard catch and run by David Reed for a touchdown. We need about 1.5 yards here. And they'll give it to Wide, and he's got it. Now remember, you can go back to the very beginning of this game, and in essence, the reason we're in overtime right now is a missed extra point. Eddie Wide ran a fumble by Terrence Kane for a touchdown. Wide picked it up off the turf and ran it the rest of the way for a score in the first possession of the game. Utah missed the PAT.
It's crazy how often some of those things that are viewed as a small moment early in the football game can come back to bite you later.
So now with a first down again from the Air Force 12. Quick screen, Brooks. Couldn't get outside. The receivers there couldn't get those blocks sealed, and Luke Hyder of Air Force pushed Brooks out of bounds.
Just able to get him around the ankle right there. Because again, I mean, it's been at least the last 7 consecutive plays. We've seen Tim DeRuyter dial up the blitz from Air Force. He puts a big onus on the guys on the outside to come up and make those tackles. We saw Luke Heider miss a tackle that led to a touchdown earlier. Secured that one.
Now Kane is going to run it. And Kane is swallowed up. Anthony Wright and Justin Moore, the inside backer. So now if you're Utah, you're at the 8-yard line. It's 3rd down and 6. They can get a first at the 2. How conscious are you here, Anthony, of putting the ball in the middle of the field? Do you worry at all about that?
Honestly, for me, and especially looking at Iona Key, the catch he made down here in the red zone last week, I think you dial up one good pass to try to get him a shot on a corner route.
He's 6'4" now. He's way up at the top of your picture. 3rd down, Kane, right flat, fumbled out of bounds. It's a catch, I believe. Field judge got smacked. Let's see what the ruling is. They're going to rule that a catch and out of bounds inside the 1.
This may be a play that we see them take another look at in the booth.
First, we have not had a booth review at all today. I was wondering if they're here. But I can't believe it. When was the last time you saw a game without a single booth review?
Let's take a look at it right here. Nice delivery of the football.
That's a good call. Yeah. Now they're going to review it, and here it comes. Air Force was screaming for a booth review, but what do you think, Anthony, from that look? Good call?
From that look, I'd say good call. And what could happen, looking at that replay, we'll get another look from multiple angles, but
Air Force is challenged the ruling on the field.
Oh, no. Not the booth. It is Air Force challenging. Now, because you rarely see it in the college game, a lot of fans don't realize coaches have one challenge a game. They get one challenge a game, so it's hard for me to believe that Booth would not have reviewed that on its own, that it forces Troy Calhoun to use a challenge.
David Reed had a shot right there. Looks like the knee hit down before anything, but I do think this is going to be a catch and a 1st down and goal.
That angle had a little... That angle there had a slightly different look to it.
Now, one other possibility from Air Force challenging this play right here, just looking at that review that we've just seen from a couple of angles, it could end up being where the call is confirmed without any indisputable video evidence, sitting there on a couple inches from the goal line. But Air Force is challenged. Maybe it was a touchdown, Ted. It was that close. It's that tight to the goal line where if they look at the end zone angle of it, there's a possibility the officials will rule that maybe the ball crossed the goal line. And remember, it just has to get to the white right there. It does not actually have to cross into the dark area. Right. If they feel like the tip of the football may have just gotten in to that portion of it, there's a chance they could rule a touchdown on this as well. Possibilities are endless.
Well, a lot of times, especially if you have games where there are multiple reviews, it's a little challenging for fans. The entertainment value is hurt, but in essence, this is why the system exists, for right here. This is game altering.
And as he pulls it in,
that's where the ball comes out there. That's what I was a little... From that view, that ball comes out earlier than other views. It does appear he had 2 feet down.
I think he's got 2 feet down, and more importantly, I think as the ball hits his hands, he's transitioning it into his body.
When I say 2 feet down, I mean, it looked like he had taken 2 steps with the ball, which... Yeah. Confirmed catch. So the call on the field is upheld. Utah has it 1st down and a foot. Utah just 43 plays in regulation, only 21 minutes possession time, but a foot away from cashing in on this most important first overtime possession. And Eddie Wide does not get it. And with this Air Force every play you run gives that Air Force defense another shot, as unlikely as it would seem here, to rip the ball away.
And when you're averaging 300 pounds on your offensive line for Utah, you're going up against the defensive front averaging about 260. You're going to take several shots here and just ramming this football away.
Again, Wide is the deep back. Wide gets it again, and this time a push to the end zone. So Eddie Wide who ran a fumble back for a touchdown in the first quarter, gets a rushing touchdown here in overtime.
That instance right there, the line of scrimmage did move inside. Utah was knocking people off the ball. And Eddie White just ran right up their back.
And Joe Phillips puts the point through, and Utah up 7 with the Air Force possession to come.
Lindsey Soto told us Eddie White's got the double spat working. Injured that ankle earlier in the football game, but he's got the tenacity, showing the toughness here.
They pulled Stevens, the right guard, into that hole. He's the one that really kind of secured that gap for Eddie White. Again, for some reason, they're giving him credit on a fumble return for a run in the first quarter. That defies every logical mindset you could possibly have. So I don't know how he. It doesn't matter. Utah has the lead.
Sound like a baseball guy here, Ted. We got to get those stats.
It's just crazy.
E3.
Well, it's crazy, but Eddie White will take it. Look, 4 straight 100-yard games. He's happy. Now Dietz to work. And Dietz is brought down a yard past the line. J.J. Williams on the stop.
A bit surprised to see them go with the play action there on first down. But Dietz has thrown the ball well so far.
Jared Two's the only back. Plays being signaled into Connor Dietz. Up and down to make sure the linemen here. We go right into the Utah student section. Dietz keeps, and Dietz gets to the 20. So 3rd and 5 ahead for Air Force. Kolomisi on the Utah tackle. 24 carries, 90 yards for Dietz. And a remarkable day. This will be the 19th 3rd down for Air Force today. They've converted 8 of them. This is a manageable 3rd and 5, and of course it's 2 downs for Air Force. And they're going to have to go on 4th. Good pursuit by Utah. Kolomisi, J.J. Williams, Dave Kruger.
Tried to cut Kolomisi down at the edge of the defense. Did an excellent job playing off that cut block and getting himself into the backfield, getting involved in the tackle. Air Force is used to 4th down. They've gone for more 4th downs than anyone else in the Mountain West Conference.
So the game here for Air Force. They need almost 5. Dietz looking for Fogler. Has got him. Now where's the mark? 1st down. Fogler got the mark for a 1st down. Well, I believe. Yep, they're signaling 1st down right on the 15-yard line. Fogler went past the 15, got pushed back here.
You don't have to be wide open. When you're 6'5", 205 pounds, even though there's tight coverage there, does a nice job fitting it into a tight space.
And Dietz gets it out of bounds.
Gets the ball just right out there to Fogler. Defender does pull him back.
Yeah. I was just watching from here, and that looked like a fair mark. The official is forward because Fogler went past the 15.
Exactly.
When he turned.
All due to that forward progress.
And Dietz pitching to Asher Clark. Run out. That's the play that Robert Johnson in the second half has just been all over.
There's been more to the strong side of the formation, where you've seen Robert Johnson come up and constantly make these plays in the second half. Stevenson Sylvester's had it held down on one side, and Robert Johnson to come up with that safety support to the opposite side.
So 3rd and 8. They fake the fly sweep. Dietz, nice maneuvering, and we'll have another 4th down coming up for Air Force. 4th and 2.
Yeah, reverse pivot. It looks so risky because you're faking the ball in one direction. You're really counting on the defender to go with your ball fake because you've got one guy inside that's completely unblocked.
Their 85th play of the game. And again, up from center for the play from the sideline. And Jared, 2, no! It's Dietz was kept it, was smothered, and Utah wins. Headache, nightmare, toothache, whatever you want to call it. Air Force was all of that for Utah today.
Wouldn't have it any other way in this matchup. When Air Force and Utah meet up, you know the game's going to come down to the wire. And the Utes, who had given up running yardage throughout the game, had to come up with the stop on defense. And again, Dave Kruger was the guy that did it inside for Utah.
And the 4th down stop, another fake to 2. Dietz keeping it. And Utah's defense making the last play to give them the overtime win.